Hello, Twitter world, and other social media platforms. We're here interviewing Kelly McInerney, the hilarious Kelly McInerney. Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. So the way I usually start these off, what kind of comedy stuff were you doing before COVID? What were you working on? What shows do you do? Whatever you want to plug. And what are you doing post COVID? Like, what have you been up to?
Um, okay. Stand-up comedy I've been doing. I didn't have a show, but I was just like trying to travel and tour and stuff before COVID. And I have a podcast called I Am D Weed where we get stoned and review movies with other comics and funny people.
Very fun.
Post COVID, there's not much. I'm doing Zoom shows or Q&As like this. Or there's some places that are starting to do backyard stuff, or like my one friend John Darnell does one in a minor league stadium in like Lake Elsinore, which is like it's
Ooh, that's
COVID
cool.
like safe guidelines. Like I'm starting to do shows like that as long as it's like safe and you know stuff like that. But I'm also doing like sketches while in quarantine with a skeleton because you got to be creative and writing a lot of scripts and stuff like that.
Dope. So
Oh, you muted yourself.
yeah, sorry. So like, as far as touring and shows, obviously, I mean, I've had you on my show many times. Like, I mean, what do you envision as, you know, as we head into like the new normal, like where that's gonna go? Where have you? I mean, I know like backyard and stadiums and stuff. That's like, yeah. What do you think about that kind of stuff and where we're headed?
It's weird. My friend JC Karias, he just did a drive-in show. So there's also those people in cars, and I guess they honk their horn when they laugh, which is interesting. I don't know. I think it depends on the place because I know other places. I know like in England and Arizona, but Arizona's way different than England. But their shows, their clubs are still open, but they're spaced out. So I think it depends on the area. I think LA is going to be a little bit longer because we're still in our first wave and will not get out of our first wave. I think it's just good to just, if you can, travel place. Like I'm going to Truckee, which is by Reno. And I might move to London.
That sounds nice. Yeah, anywhere but America sounds pretty good right about now.
Yeah. I have citizenship in England, so I mean in Ireland, so that's why I'm like might as well use this.
Yes, that's going to be useful. In terms of you said you're like writing during quarantine, obviously. What's your experience with writing like specifically stand-up material during quarantine? And obviously, a lot of people are struggling with that, but just also in general, talk about your like how you're writing in quarantine and how that is going.
So I don't know. It depends. If I get booked on a show I like, I'll spend time trying to write, or I'll think of like like I did write one quarantine joke just like because it just kind of came to me. So sometimes it'll just be like, you still have that muscle in you,
right?
But it's not always on anymore because it's you know,
and you're not even like living life, you know. You're just kind of sitting in.
But like for instance, if I'm doing an out of town show, that's easy because not easy, but to get some simple jokes, I like to like Google the area and think like Lake Elsinore, like related stuff, and they love that shit. Like I did one, I forget where, but there was some place where like a Walmart was being built, and I didn't even have to say the joke about Walmart. I just said it, and they started cracking up. So, I think it's like, at least in that aspect, it's easier because if you're traveling, you could think of like geographic location jokes, but like regular stand-up, it's harder because it's like, how can you make people laugh right? Especially they don't want to hear like a white lady talk,
Right.
like try and ignore what's
Especially
going
if you're doing two shows that are like within a mile of each other or whatever. It's like there's not really much geographical.
Yeah. I think you just gotta think of simple, like, don't overthink things and still keep, like, I still do poop jokes. Fortunately, I did have to shit into a bag because my toilet broke, so that was an easy joke to write in a pandemic. So, I don't know, like, I, I'm of the mind where it's like, I'm trying not to talk about current events as much because they don't want to hear me, but I think it depends on the comedian. Does
Yeah,
that
no,
make
I think there's definitely a weird line to walk because I think, like, for me as well, and some of my friends, that was like, everyone's telling jokes about quarantine. I don't want to tell another quarantine joke, but at the same time, you do feel like you have to address it in some way because it is like so at the center of our lives. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting line to walk.
I think it's important to have like one, like you
Yeah,
have to
sure.
have something, but you don't have
Yeah.
to have a whole quarantine set because we all know and we're here, like we feel it.
Exactly. Yeah. And as far as I'm curious about sort of outside of stand up, your podcast is obviously a lot of fun, great, just a cool idea, just a lot of funny people. And you said you're also writing scripts and other stuff. Just I guess talk a little bit about that. Where do you find like success with that? Do you find whatever that is going on
um,
in those
well,
areas?
Well, like with the skeleton sketches, that was like a point where I'm like, I want to be funny, but we're in quarantine. What do I do? So I got stoned and I ordered a skeleton from Amazon. So I made my roommate and was like, these are funny because it's like still timely, but it's still like fun, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and it kind of stretches your muscle of like, see, I think kind of quarantine's cool in that like. Uh, it shows which stand-up comics are like funny all around or which ones like sink or swim essentially. Like if you can't just
Totally.
survive, if you just are like dependent on stand-up, then good luck. Like you
Right.
should be a good writer because you write jokes. um
And
but
yeah, being friends with stand-up comedians on like Facebook and Twitter during this time has been great for sure.
that's all they do is just do funny tweets and it's
It's
like,
awesome. Yeah.
how about you make that a script and try and do something with that. That's how I'm from that mind. Like I'm gonna try and like write shorts and pilots and stuff. My one short has been winning some stuff, but not, I mean, just like Houston Comedy Festival and stuff like that, but like that's my success
Yeah.
not
Congrats on that. That's awesome.
thanks.
Um, all right. I guess I'll open it up. It looks like Haley has a question, so opening up to the floor. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just got a quick, from what you were saying about kind of like that swing. Sorry, it's just been a long day. If you just, all right, now's not the time to cry. Hold on. The sink or swim mentality that you were talking about, do you predict that there's going to be an influx of stand-up comedians after the pandemic? How do you think, because I don't know, I haven't seen a lot of like TikToks that are stand-up. It's been a lot of like sketch-based. Not saying that's not funny, but
I mean, I think after something like this, there's always going to be an influx, especially because I think sometimes people think stand up is easier than it is. So they're like, I'm just going to do stand up,
oh
And,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think there will be. And just be prepared to like be like, yeah, okay, I could also do that, but I could do this and that. But I mean, if you love stand up, do that too. You could still keep writing throughout this pandemic and use it on Zoom shows. But I mean, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
And some of those people are going to be easy to swim above.
Yeah, they might not last. Just because there's an influx, that doesn't mean they're gonna stick around. It's like New Year's comics, you know? It's like going to the gym on New Year's, the same thing with stand-up comedy, you know? The first few months, there's gonna be a shit ton, and then they'll all just peter off.
Maggie
Yeah,
asked
it's kind of like
oh, go ahead.
predicting the stock market. Well, there's just so many new businesses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, well, what are you gonna invest in? And then
Yeah, exactly.
you just
the
don't
ones you
invest.
like.
Yeah.
Maggie asked a great question. What's your favorite munchie? Important for us to know.
Oh God, I don't know. I'm looking at my kitchen now to see what I have. I like. I guess I'm a classic gold.
There's only one answer, actually.
What'd you say? I can't hear you that well.
Oh, I said there was only one answer.
Oh, there's only one answer. Then goldfish or peanut or just peanut butter.
Peanut butter is a strong answer, I would say.
Yeah,
Oh,
I meant as in
Okay.
like these flaming hot spicy lemon Cheetos, but it was a good try. I appreciate your answer. I think that goldfish is a contender for sure.
yeah. I can't buy those Cheetos at Costco and have them like sit in my kitchen for a while. That's why they're not.
Yeah,
You know?
yes, true. It's not there. It's what's available.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm curious about the podcast and like I think that's just such a great hook. Like obviously getting stoned and watching movies is something that like everyone does, but getting like funny people together for that. So I'm just curious, like how'd you come up with that, and what was the process of you and John like putting that together and starting to produce that? And
It was pretty easy. Actually, it started with me and my old co-host Jessica, but she didn't do comedy. She's more like a comedy-adjacent person. Her brother Josh Androsky was a comic, so she was like familiar. So we started it mostly because one day we got stoned and wore onesies to see Moana at the Cheap Dollar Theater in North Hollywood, and we're like,
nice.
this will be a fun podcast if we get. Because we like, we know Doug Benson and stuff did it. Like we could get people. So that's kind of how you just get stoned and go to the movies. And
Oh yeah. And do you guys do you still wear onesies? Is that tradition?
nah, that was just the one time. Not all guests have onesies.
Sure, you got to be inclusive. That's important.
But then like John hopped in and same stuff. Like yeah, we do it on Zoom now, and it's kind of it's fun now in a way because it's easier contacting other comics across the country that we couldn't get before,
Yeah, totally. That's one of the advantages of Zoom is getting, I feel like you can book people you wouldn't otherwise be able to, which is kind of fun. All right, I'm going to ask the dreaded question. This one usually gets asked at all these, but, talk a little bit about how you have made a living as doing comedy, and like that's a big anxiety in a lot of people's minds. So, obviously, yeah, Daniel was about to. Sorry, Daniel, stole your thunder, but yeah, I mean, touring obviously is one way, but yeah, I guess just talk a little bit about that.
Well, you don't go into comedy for money. If you are planning on becoming a millionaire like Jerry Seinfeld, good luck, because there's just one Jerry Seinfeld. Like, there's only I feel like a handful of people that really make money traveling and touring and being a stand-up comic,
Right.
Usually they'll be like work on TV and other stuff, other forms too. I also I have a day job or as well. I'm still not that level yet where I don't need it. But you could touring though does help. Like if I lived in Denver, I probably could make a living off, because Denver's one of the best cities to do stand up. They pay very well. But yeah, you just gotta be. I don't know how you can now, because back before the pandemic, you could do shows.
Right.
And you get seen by agents, and then they'll book they'll hire
Right.
It's like, especially in LA, but you have to be at a certain level and you have to be booked on a certain, they're not going to go to a Clubhouse show or
No.
well, I don't know about Haha Cafe. Probably not Haha Cafe. They probably go to Clubhouse more than Haha. But like, yeah, you have to right place, right time. There's like other ways, like writing and stuff, like
Yeah, totally.
content writing and everything to kind of get your voice heard until you start touring and stuff.
And do you feel free to not answer, but do you make any money with like your podcast? Because I know there are a lot of comics that rely on like they get like a Patreon or like a steady income, not a full steady income, but some income from a podcast. Is that the case? Or
yeah, some, but like it's like there's also two of us, and you
Right.
know, like half the money goes.
Yeah.
But we're I don't make a living off the podcast either. Yeah.
No,
But you
yeah, I mean,
need some. Yeah.
yeah, it's a mix, and it's like a patchwork of a bunch of different things. I don't think anyone in here is in it cynically for the money. Hopefully.
Yeah. If you are, you're funny. You know?
Yeah, you're in the wrong
Thank
Zoom
you.
call.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Anyone got questions?
Melanie raised a hand.
I have a question. Do you have any tips for writing spec scripts?
Yeah, take a class. I like Ben Axelrod. That's, to be honest, I don't think, I've been told that they're kind of straying away from spec scripts and focusing more on pilots now. But to do
Yeah, I've heard the same
yeah.
thing.
So I would recommend that to try to do a pilot first. And then once you could do your pilot, it's kind of easy. You get the whole like formula of how to do it. And then you could pick, because I'm picky with specs too, because I'm like, I love, for instance, when Scrubs was on, I love Scrubs, but I could never write Scrubs because that's my favorite. But I could write Brooklyn Nine-Nine or whatever, which is like, well, not anymore because it's propaganda, but you know what I'm saying. So I think, I would just take a class, because also it like kind of having deadlines and forcing yourself to write and learn, because we have all the time in the world right now, but also there's so much TV and so much like other stuff, you get distracted, whereas there's even more classes now, I think, that help me write and stuff in the quarantine. I think this is USC, never mind, I can't say the other one. I took a UCLA extension for writing a spec, and it was fine.
All right, Rachel, please remove her from the Zoom call. Banned.
But I'm sure the USC one is better, because I didn't like the UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, if we have one.
Yeah,
I
we
got
do.
a
I think it's a CWDR one.
I mean, it's CTWR 321 for dramas, and then there's another one for.
Yeah, I think it's 320 or 325.
324 is the comedy original spec class.
Yeah,
Also,
sounds right.
read as many pilots as you can, because that'll really force you, and then watch as many as you can. Like, I'm trying to write an hour long, and I'm always comedy person, like Comedy Mind, but I'm trying to write a drama, so I've been watching all these hour long, and you pick out the way they like the how they write, how they set up stuff, and it's like, okay, well, that's a show don't tell, good job, like you could see how the structure is written, especially like Breaking Bad and stuff like that. It's like the perfect story structure thing for drama.
What got you interested in writing drama? Is that something you've always been interested in, and comedy has happened to fit into your life well?
No, I'm not really, to be honest, I'm not into writing drama. I just wanted in my portfolio to have one. But I'm more dedicated watching like dramas than I am my favorite comedies. So I think that made me want to write one. And it just forces me to, because my brain, I was trying to brainstorm for an idea. It just kept turning funny. You know how like Sopranos is like a mob guy into therapy. I was like, what about a yoga instructor that's a spy? No, that's too funny. Like that until eventually something serious came out of this. Exercise.
Yeah, I find that retired addiction is a good thing to write to, like a good jumping board for dramas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just anything in that
Stephen
arena.
King style.
So one other question is, do you have like somewhere you go for prompts to write, either creative writing or prompts to just get your head going? Do you go on walks? Do you like to like go to the gym and then blow off steam and then you're like coming up with things as you're like working it? Like what's your,
how do I get inspiration? Is that what you're trying to basically, how do I make
I'm trying to copy you. In
I
its
just
entirety.
don't, and then sit in front of my computer and just force myself to, like, if I want to write, I'm just gonna just sit in front of my computer and just goof around, look at Twitter drafts, and think of something. I'll go on a walk too. That's what Mark Duplass does. He'll be like, if I'm forced, or I like to read books to like Stephen King has On Writing. It's about fiction writing, but you could cater it to whatever, and I think it's really good. But if I want to write, I'll either force myself or I'll just like live my life. When you're living your life, shit happens, and you're like, that's a funny thing. Write it down.
So right now you're just working through brute force. No one, unless you're living your life, which that's.
I mean, I'm not like living my life, but I'll go get stoned and go to the drive-in, and I'll be like, here's a funny thing that happened in the car. So it's like that kind of the new life, the new normal life. But yeah, I think it's just mostly I have to force myself, or because I can't really. If I go on a walk, like I'll go on walks, but if I don't know, I like to force myself. I'm weird like that. Yeah.
Just a little side note, you were talking about obviously watching pilots and stuff like that. Just a general, like, what have you been watching lately? What have you liked lately? Have you watched like comedy specials, like anything, that you have to recommend that you've watched recently?
Wait, real quick though, about the prompts or something.
Oh yeah, sorry.
If you really wanna do a prompt or something, if I can't think of anything and I wanna write, my friend recommended like hold on, I wrote in my notebook. I'll be right back. It's over here.
Is that a gaming chair? What's your setup? Oh, yeah. It's just a nice chair.
My friend, my old roommate sold it to me. So
it's like a Target chair.
Me for my gaming chair.
Yeah, I will.
It's just basically you write. Where'd I put it? But I'll answer the other question while I'm looking for this. What I'm watching right now, just a lot of hour-long. I just finished watching Sopranos for the first time, and it's really good.
Hot take, Sopranos.
What'd you say?
Hot take, Sopranos is good.
Yes, I get it. And I finished Breaking Bad in the quarantine. I'm finishing Schitt's Creek right now.
Nice. Emmy sweeper.
Yeah, I've never finished it, and I'm like, why did I not do that? It's so good.
Got so many Emmys.
Yeah.
I stopped at like episode 3. I was like, this isn't gonna happen.
Really?
And then I got so many Emmys, and I got a little sad that I stopped.
Schitt's Sweep. That's what it did. I love that it won everything.
It's just, that's insane.
It's so good. It's such a simple concept. Like, I love simple things where it's like, it's this fish out of water story about rich people living in a shitty place. But, like, that's the best stories. Like, what's Sopranos is a mobster that goes into therapy. That's it. Like, that's the one log line, and it's perfect, right? Like, Breaking Bad is like this teacher that not only has cancer, but he has a son that's disabled, a baby on the way, so he decides to cook and sell meth.
Plus, Schitt's Creek is just digestible for middle America, I think. And
Yeah.
that's, if you're writing a
but
masterpiece comedy pilot.
it's not like Breaking Bad. I mean, not Breaking Big Bang Theory digestible, where it's like
That's true.
this
Yeah.
is like cute. It has winks to people like us, but it's still like socially good for everybody. I can't find what I wrote. So basically, I can't find the page, but it's just basically you think of a topic or you think of a sentence and you go through the emotions. Like think of something funny about grocery shop, or no, you have to be more specific. Think of something funny about traveling with your mom. Think of something scary about it. Think of something exciting. Think of something that makes you angry. Think of that, think of all these emotions and then pick something funny might come out of it. And then you could elaborate and make some sort of, and then I kind of do like a stream of consciousness about it if something hits me, and then pick out like what's funny. Like I did this for this one joke about Thanksgiving, and I like basically say how it's like what do I say? I forget, man. It's basically making fun of white people, how it's terrifying. I haven't done it in a while. Can you tell? But like I was just doing a riff about it, and I was like, here's a funny bit about it, like in this one stream of consciousness, and then I made a joke from it. So just think of the topic, the emotions, and then if you find an emotion thing that hits you, you could just write a journal entry about it, and then maybe something, you could pull out something from that journal entry to make a joke.
Do you ever find that that's like a good strategy for writing serious things as well? Because I feel like, in a TV show, something like that happens, traveling with your mom, you might have a scene that's funny, you might have a scene that's sad, you might have a scene that's scary or whatever. Do you find that that's like helpful for structuring in terms of a larger like script rather than just for stand-up bits?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I haven't really written that much drama. How I thought of my drama pilot that I'm writing now is just like, I want to do a lady Breaking Bad, but how? That's how I started. Because I'm always just like, I tried to write a feature, like, I want to do a lady super bad. Not book smart, they're smart. I want dick jokes, I want gross ladies. Don't say book.
I love it, yeah.
I hate, I didn't hate the movie. I'm like, I hate the comparison because I
Wait,
think
Booksmart was compared to Breaking Bad?
super bad.
To super bad.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I actually took a stoner comedy class last year where he compared the two movies. And first off, Booksmart's not even a stoner comedy, so I'm not sure why it doesn't have weed in it. But yeah, they're just not. Yeah, I see what you mean about like lowbrow, and that might be a thing, like a sexism thing where they're like ladies doing lowbrow humor is somehow frowned upon.
I think it is. That's why we have good boys. We have preteen boys, but we only have a girls trip. I think was pretty good.
Bad moms for like a little bit old. I don't know.
Maggie said there's a little weed. Yeah, what's her face is Carrie Fisher's daughter in Booksmart is all about the drugs.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually,
is there much weed in Superbad?
Not really. There's also very little.
Yeah. But I think it's because
they're both drinking movies.
Hmm?
Both kind of more drinking movies than they are
Party
movies.
Party shit. But
yeah, same shit.
Thick stuff for girls,
Totally.
I can't do lowbrow.
Do you want to talk like a little bit more on that, because obviously your stand-up also tends to be like a little bit more lowbrow. Hilarious, not to like insult it or anything, but that's like sort of your style. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
Jonathan, why would you even think that that's insulting? Because women can't do lowbrow?
Well, okay. Now I'm canceled, and this is recorded.
Yeah, Jonathan Gate. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's like the majority of the I don't know why they think girls can't be dirty. Girls fart just as much as guys, it's annoying. My comedy, why do I do it lowbrow, or like what was the question? You're muted.
Not just like why do you do it, but yeah, like how do you come to that style? I mean, why do you think it's important? I don't know, or anything. Not, I mean, or if you wanted to comment on the whole sexism issue, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm very much like, I was raised on Jim Carrey and like mostly guys being gross. And as a girl, I'm like, why can't we do it? It annoys me all the time. And I do it in my stand-up because it comes down back to like, I know white women are annoying and insufferable, and I look like a Karen. But guess what? I'm gonna talk about jizz on my chest and shitting into bags. Lighten it up, baby. I think that's why I do it too.
Yeah. I mean, that's also just sort of can be what you find funny and what your personality is. I mean, and that's obviously going to come through in your performance regardless.
It is very much my personality. If fart jokes get canceled, then there goes my career, It's like,
if fart jokes get canceled, God help us all.
I know, it's true.
Yeah, fart jokes are ableist to people that have constipation.
No. Don't give them ideas, Maggie. Come on.
This is recorded, Maggie. You got to be careful what you say.
But that's why I think it's like funny, and I think people are I think also with stand-up, sometimes people try too hard to do like, smart stuff,
Sure.
curve, and it's like, I'm gonna bring it back down to the simple stuff, simple shit, literally,
And it works. It totally works. I mean, it's.
Yeah. Thanks. I think.
Yeah, it's always funny. I think you're one of the people who I like have on my show all the time, like pretty regularly for a stretch there. So
yeah, it's a great show.
I enjoy your comedy.
Thanks.
Canceled. We did it.
Yeah.
Other than your podcast, do you have any? I'm a loyal simp, so do you have any upcoming shows?
I'm doing that show in Lake Elsinore on Sunday, but that's an hour away. And I'm doing the Truckee one on
Like an hour bike ride, or?
No, it's like I
for
don't
real?
know where it is. I think it's like an hour. Hold on, it's like at the minor league stadium. But the Covina show, there's not really that many LA shows that I'm doing. I'm doing a Covina one on October, I think, 9th. Backyard.
So, just out of curiosity, so like a baseball stadium, do you know how many like seats there are and how many seats are going to be filled or anything like that? Or
So it's not. It's in the tap room, so it's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. I was like, wow, you're playing stadiums.
Sick.
Yeah, that would be sick. Even at 25% capacity or whatever.
Yeah.
Still a lot of people.
But it's a really great show. I've done it before. John runs it, my podcast co-host. So he's
Oh,
like,
awesome.
I'm fortunate enough to be like his little sister. So he's like, you want to do it again? I was like, please, as much as possible.
Yeah, no, I think we're all like clamoring for actual stage time.
Yeah, I did it a month ago. And after doing it, I cried in my car because I forgot how much I missed comedy. And then I just let it rip.
Yeah, no, I was at like the first show I'd been at in obviously months, like with, hanging out with the comics after, and just like, there's just this energy that you forget how like electric it is just to I wasn't even up at the show. I was just like hanging out, and it's just still so fun.
Yeah, I think now too, because people are nicer because they miss it more,
Yeah, sure, and they're itching to laugh.
Yeah, but if I do any like LA shows or whatever, I usually just post it on my Instagram or Twitter. So
But yeah, feel free to plug.
Yeah, Holly Weirdo. That's my shit. But yeah, that's it. That's all I'm doing so far. Just 3 shows, and I'm jacked. I was jacked for the Q&A. I was like, I'm doing stuff, Mom.
It's a full schedule. You're booked.
Yeah.
Any final questions from anyone?
Yeah, so I was gonna like kind of take it back to when you started doing stand-up. I was kind of curious like what you did as far as your like work habits and writing habits, like how many open mics you did and what kind of like your or not your motivation, what your ethic was there. Because I know like the generic answer is go to as many mics as you can, write as many jokes as you can, but that doesn't work for everybody, obviously, like to just like constantly be on writing. I know like some comics got their start going to like less than like they would go to like 7 or 8 open mics a week, and then there's like people who would go to like 40 mics a week. So I was like, where did you fall in that?
I started a little bit differently because I did improv first, and then I was like, I started to hate it because you kind of blame other people, your teammates, for sucking. You shouldn't, for sure, you shouldn't, but you know, sometimes you get angry. And then I was like, also improv people, they're great audience members though, because they're just always so smiley and happy. But
As you know from the cabaret, that's our secret.
fill them out with improv teams.
That's
But
how it's done.
yeah, then I was like, I was like, I'm gonna do stand up because it highlights not only me as a performer, and it's on me if I fuck up. You really don't really blame the audience unless it's like a bunch of old white people and you're in Mexico in an expat area and you're like, why am I here doing jizz jokes for these old people in Mexico? But I'm happy to be there.
Sounds like a deep personal
Yeah,
story.
it was weird, but great to be in Mexico. But then, yeah, when I first started doing stand-up, I was the person going to 3 mics, and we would go to the Good Night, put our name in, drive all the way to Jake's in Pasadena, put our name in there, go back to, like, I was like adrenaline rushed in it, like doing 3 mics a night, and then once you're in it doing all these mics, I think it makes me write more because you're not copying anybody's jokes or anything. You're just like, so here's another idea. Because when you're immersed in it, I think it forces you to write. So I know you didn't want to hear me say do a lot of mics, but that's what I did.
No, I mean like that's fair. I mean like I'm like now starting to do a lot of mics, and I think it's like I know that's like what most people say, and I think like we were talking to Drew Landry a couple of weeks ago, and he was probably like he gave one of like the smaller answers for like the mics he started going to at first, like the amount of mics he would go to in a week, but it was still fairly large. I don't remember how many, but it was less than I was expecting, but it was still like a lot of mics because you know he's a working comedian.
Yeah, you have to also, like, I found my favorites too, like
It's
West.
about, you gotta
West,
find quality.
yeah, because you find people that, like, you find places that have audience members too. Like, I don't recommend those Bert's Back Room ones where you pay it $5, sit there for an hour with people that are your left. Like, what the hell's the point of that? Unless you have new material and you just want to hear it said aloud. But if that's the case, just say it in a mirror and save the $5. Because
Bert's Back Room makes me want to quit comedy every time I go there. So
there's no point to it. I don't understand. I find the mics that have people, or that's hard in LA, 100%. It's hard right now. I don't know how you guys are going to get into comedy now with this Zoom shit. I would also just watch as much comedy as you can, especially right now. Like you asked for like comedy specials. It's a best-selling special is really good.
And we have free HBO, so everyone in this call can watch it for free right now. It is a great special.
Yeah, it's so good. She's great.
She was actually in our in my stand-up class a couple weeks ago. We talked to her. Yeah, she's hilarious. And that special is like one of the just really well put together. One of the best, like in terms of like transitions and just put like the construction, I think was amazing.
Yeah, my friend Elise helped edit it.
Elise, yeah, of course. She's big time. She edits everything.
Yeah, she's killing it.
Yeah.
Also Michelle Wolf's second special I liked, which I think is on Netflix, not the HBO. I don't like that one as much, but
She's fun.
yeah, she's great. I opened for her in Tulsa once, and she was so nice. Never forget. But yeah, just watch as much as you can if you don't want to go to the mics, because like I know before the pandemic started, like the mics were getting weird, and there was too many of those Bert's Backroom shit. So like, even though I'm saying go to as many mics as you want, don't I would recommend going to one good one versus like 5 of those shitty ones, you know? So just pick and choose.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Thanks.
Hey, if you like to read, I got a couple of recommendations if you want to hear them.
Sure, go for it.
The Subversive Copy Editor.
Let me write this down. What's it about? Copy
In
editing?
the chat too.
It's about editing. It's about actually editing for other people, but it talks a lot about kind of like this whole concept of reading like a writer, or like kind of stealing sentences, which I think works a lot for stand-up. Not stealing the words in the sentence, but like the form.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not saying you need that because your comedy is good, but if you want it, I mean, and then The Art of Editing by Robert Gottlieb
Okay.
and Holy Writ.
Holy Brit?
Writ.
Throw these in the chat too, Haley. Who knew we were gonna have homework?
Hey,
No, I'm not complaining. I love it. I'm I'll read about editing.
I got 4 more, so keep
I
Okay.
had a question.
I see it in the chat. What do you think about cancel culture in relation to comedy satire? Was that your question, Maggie? Or a new one?
I believe so. She might have some connection issues.
Feel free to
That's
write.
definitely an interesting question to talk about, though.
I'll answer that one. And how do I deal with cancel culture?
I wrote a question.
Okay. All right.
Oh yes, okay.
You okay? Oh, I think it's just delayed, right? Her.
Yeah, I think, Maggie, we're having trouble hearing you.
Very bad connection, so I have no way of knowing if you ask me something.
Okay.
I would love to hear the answer.
Okay. What do I think about cancel culture? I mean, I think it's good in that, we knew about Louis. Let's fucking burn that guy. It's gross. I think it's crazy that we have to, people are deep diving tweets. I think that's a little getting too much. But if it's a bad dude or lady, we gotta get him out. You know, I don't know. It's hard dealing with it. I don't really talk about it that much because it's nobody wants to hear my opinion. That's just my opinion of myself. I'm just gonna stick to my material unless it's affected me. Unless somebody to me or was a dick to me, I'll be
Do you feel like
Kind of breaking up, Maggie. You might want to type it.
You need to kind of edit your jokes
I can't understand you. I have to edit my jokes to what? Write it in the chat if you can. Edit my humor. Yeah. Well, my humor, not particularly. Sometimes, actually, but not for cancel culture. Because my jokes I don't really talk that much, crazy stuff, you know? Not crazy stuff, not sexy stuff like that. I do sometimes have to edit it, with current events, I have a joke about comparing kids to guns, and I don't do that after a shooting, you know, you kind of censor yourself when certain things happen, for sure, I would say. So yeah, you
So you
just
can only do that joke like bi-weekly.
yeah, or bi-monthly.
It's been a while.
Yeah, true.
We're on a good run, so.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's not now. It's like there's people getting shot in their homes when they're asleep. I feel like I need to just, shelve
Fair
for
point.
who knows, 20, 30?
Forever, probably. I mean, yeah.
It's just a one-liner. It's just like I think kids are like guns. A lot of people that have them right now really shouldn't be having them. But like people depends on the audience. Like I could still do it, but if it's like a younger, like you got to feel out the crowd.
That's sort of always true.
Mhm.
Do we have any final questions? I don't want to keep you longer than an hour. Me personally, at 61 minutes in a Zoom call, my brain shuts down.
I don't know. I don't mind. This is fun. Reading like, oh.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I hope I helped, and good luck. Like, starting out now.
We're gonna need it.
Yeah. God's.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But
Yes, I'll kind of expand on my question from earlier. So when you started out, and like this is more like in relation to your writing habits, where did you find yourself like balancing like writing as much as you could versus not writing so much in order to avoid having as many like just terrible jokes? And you're like, how much did you write a day? Did you have any goals, and did you usually hit them? Stuff like that.
usually I would try and have like one new joke. Didn't have to be that long. Just one new one at like each new mic. Like if I did the good night Monday and I wanted to go back that next Monday, I don't want to do the same set. So like that. Like I don't think it. Some days I would write more like than the others, and sometimes like when I'm waiting at a mic, I would just write. So it's like you don't have to worry about writing a lot, and like if you have good jokes, just keep them. But then, and actually, you could even don't worry about writing trash. You're gonna write trash up top, At least you try it out, and honestly, it's good no matter how much you write because you're like practicing your performance. Even if you're like, I know this joke's not that good, I'm gonna try it. It's you performing. So I don't know like how I balanced writing too much or too little. I would just write when I wanted to. I was like when I first started, I was just really excited about it and wasn't jaded and had so much hope. It was a much different time. So it was easier. I would just try and schedule try and have one day, and then if you get used to it, like, and not the whole day, but just like a few hours. If you can't think of anything, don't worry about it. Try again the next day. Try and have one joke a week, one new joke a week. That's what I would usually do, and it wouldn't matter how long or short it is. Does that help?
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have an hour-long special by the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's like hit or miss. It's like some of the new jokes won't be that good. Like one time I wrote this joke I wrote two funny jokes one time, and one of them was so funny and I always use it, and the other one was like, I think we're all garbage people, but I'm Irish, so I'm a funny garbage, like a banana peel. And not perfect at all. But it's like, okay, I tried it. All right, at least I'm still like working that muscle out. It's
Can't remember.
Yeah.
Sorry, like where I read that like something like 9 out of 10 jokes you write are just gonna go straight in the toilet, straight in the trash. So like, yeah, exactly. Just keep at it.
And also, if you have a funny premise and you can't think of the joke, the punch, don't worry about it. Save it and then do it later. Like I had this one line about like the only BJ's I like in my mouth are Ben and Jerry's, and I'm like, I want to make a joke, and I had it for years, and then suddenly like inspiration struck, and like I had a whole set. And then also like that joke, it was one joke, and then I went and did it in Ventura, and I got a heckler, and I added a tag because of the heckler. So it's funny how like this little thing that I was like, this is funny to me, but I don't know how to work with it. Eventually it goes full circle, and you'll be like, I had this old tag that I could combine them, make a thing. So don't stress. It'll all come out. Like, I force myself because it's the only way I'll sit. Like, I'm like a rabbit or a squirrel. I'm just like, what's over here? Like, I need to force myself to sit down. That's why I smoke weed, to be like, chill, calm down. Let's think of some stuff. But that's just me because I'm just like thumper as a person. I'm like, let's go, you know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So are you one of those like who smokes before writing generally, or just sometimes, or because I know there's like a big debate on that?
Sometimes. For the record too, I don't really drink or like get super stoned before I sit. I like even though I'm big into weed and stuff, I'm not gonna go up there and be a stoner on stage.
Moderation, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think you want to have a clear mind for your set, I think.
Well, definitely for shows, yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes I'll get stoned, sometimes I won't. It depends on what, if I have an agenda. If I do have it already, then I might not need the weed. But yeah.
Sure, yeah.
What's the controversy?
Well, I feel like there's some people like I've heard Seth Rogen, even though he's obviously a huge stoner, like does not smoke when writing. He's like, don't smoke, don't get high to write, like just write, you know. And then there are some people I feel like who are like, I get high and it gives me ideas. I mean, in general, I feel like I would agree with you. We're down the middle. Like sometimes you smoke, sometimes you don't. It, depends.
I was just talking to my friend Ryan O'Flanahan. He's a more successful comic than me.
It's serious when
We'll have to get him on here.
Last name, first and last name, man.
Yeah, he's got a half-hour special. But I just talked to him because he was doing he was smoking weed twice a week in the quarantine. And I'm like, how you doing now? And he's like, I'm smoking weed every day. I'm writing so much more. So like, see, that's my
find what works for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Any final questions before we wrap things up?
No,
All right, well,
just research Michael Bunn.
What'd you say?
Research Michael Bunn.
Okay.
Okay.
He
That's
does-
more of a statement, but thank you so much, Kelly, for coming. This was amazing. It was
Thanks
great
for
talking to you, and
I
good to
hope-
see you after a long time. And yeah, thanks everybody for showing up, and for those watching the recording, thank you in the future.
I hope I helped, and good luck.